All right, guys. Well, I think we've got people coming into the meeting and we've got people coming in via Facebook as well. So thank you so much for coming on the webinar today. Today, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity protecting your business in 2021. And that is a huge thing right now. And I hope I've got an awesome speaker that's going to be on that's with us today and going to help talk about how to work from home and how to work when you're sitting at the Starbucks or the airport and getting back into traveling. But most importantly, all those users that went to work from home in 2020, off the limb, it's like, okay, what do I do? How to protect myself when my employees are working from home? So today, I am your host, Will Nobles. I'm the founder and CEO of Vector Choice, and Darren Swan, a channel chief at Total. And he's going to be talking today about, again, working remotely and working from home. So to introduce myself a little bit, the ones that don't know me and has never seen any of my webinars, I'm going to kick off a quick slide here to introduce myself.
With over 20 years experience in the technology field, serving Fortune 500 and small companies alike, he holds 2 degrees and multiple certifications.
Cybersecurity expert
Will Nobles.
Boy, has he had success in his life.
Since I've started my company, I've dedicated myself in helping my clients protect the integrity of their data.
The CEO of Vector Choice Technology Solutions. Please welcome Mr. Will Nobles.
People don't get the risk that's out there. Don't be careless with your technology. Your employees are your #1 security risk that you have.
Someone clicks on a link, spreads across the network, and encrypts the data on that network.
When we're sitting down with a client for the first time, one of the things we're looking at is what are they doing today to protect yourself against cyber attacks. Just because you're a small firm or you don't have a lot of money, don't think that someone's not trying to hack you. Everybody is vulnerable.
We can go into the dark web, look and see of your employees what passwords are out there.
What we do is partner humanity with technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Will Nobles.
Well, that is the better way of introducing myself because I cannot say it any better than that. I am not the famous person at all, but you know what? I am out there trying to educate on cybersecurity and cyber attacks that's out there today. A little bit about Vector Choice. We are on the Inc. 5000 2 years in a row. MSP 501, which is the top 501 MSPs, managed service providers in the world. And then also we've won several awards of being the best and brightest companies to work for in the nation, as well as in Atlanta, Georgia, where our corporate office is at. And mention a little bit about our customers and how we do things. We pride ourselves on making our customers happy, being there for our customers, answering the phones when they call. Who hates calling an IT company or any company, either not getting an answer, having to leave in a voicemail, or sitting on hold forever? Well, when you call us, we're actually, tech is answering the phone and they're able to help you immediately. So where we're located, so yes, we're in Atlanta, Georgia is where our corporate office is at, but we have office in DC, Eastern North Carolina, Mobile, Alabama, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and coming very soon in Phoenix, Arizona. We do things from HIPAA, PCI, ITAR compliancy to SOX, GDPR, so we can help you make sure you're secure. We've done work not just in the United States, but all over the country, as well as in other countries as well. We do things from managed services to project work, IT project work, to hosting services, phone hosting, email hosting, virtual server hosting, so we can help you when it comes to your technology needs. So today, and most important, we're talking about business in 2021 and beyond. And now 2020 has changed everything of how we do business. No one ever thought about working from home and their employees working from home. Now, at Vector Choice, we've all been working from home for the past 6 years. So when COVID hit in the beginning of 2020, we didn't have to panic. We knew what we were doing. We didn't skip a beat. We kept hitting the ground running, and we actually grew in 2020 because we were able to educate and help people grow their business even while they're working remotely as well. So my special guest today, Darren, is going to be talking about how to work from home and how to protect yourself. So Darren, thank you so much, and please introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Will.
Yeah, so Darren Swan here. I'm the channel chief at Total, and did a lot of things throughout my history of my career here. But I think what's important is I know a lot of change, right? And we've had to adapt quickly. 2020 proved some major things, that we can effectively work from home now, right? We can effectively work from everywhere. We've already had some of those trends, and some of those things were already kind of taking shape and taking place in different verticals and different industries, like construction. Construction's kind of been a remote worker, maybe going to the office every once in a while, but they're out in the field, right? So they already kind of had that, and now they're all looking at better ways. So 2020, I mean, one of the big things that happened, we were in a centralized world, right? Where we sat, nice and safe and sound, protected behind the traditional network infrastructure and the firewall and the environment that, we called the office. And then that quickly turned into, let's just say like a 50 user office, quickly overnight became a 50 individual office kind of world you had to go out and support. A lot of things with that is, those networks, those home environments are likely some of the scariest of them all, right? And so there's a lot of risk and concerns, and we'll talk through some of that stuff. There's no doubt when you kind of consider the headlines, especially the ones we just find out about that have been that occurred some time ago, which is really scary. The threats are real. The threats have increased. The threats have become very sophisticated, very targeted. And, it's not doom and gloom and scare, tactics here, but it's just the unfortunate reality. There's a notion that I hear, and I quite like, consider every network out there hostile, right? There's something on there. There's somebody, it's a system, it's an operating system, it's a search engine, it's an IoT device, who knows whatever it is, but there's something potentially that's going to be bad or do harm, and I think that's a good, concept to kind of live with, unfortunately, but then prepare for, because I think that's where we are now. We need to, transition from this, centralized model to enable a decentralized method of working, and then embrace this work from everywhere type situation, because there's a lot of really cool advantages to that. I think there's a lot of businesses that learned how to adapt quickly out of, really no choice.
That's very true. That is very true.
Yeah, and I do believe, technology is a business enabler. I think it's now fully, folks, leaders, and business owners are cognizant of technology being a business enabler, not the historical cost center that it used to be. It's really how you thrive. And so the big question is, how is technology enabling your business? What are you doing to ensure your organization and the workplace, adapts and transforms here to this new working from everywhere situation? But importantly, keep everyone connected anywhere and everywhere they ever go, and always protected. That's a critical element, as we're all kind of under, some form of attack in one shape or another. How do we ensure we don't have any business disruption, right? There's a lot of risk there. And there actually are simple methods, because we're now entering a technology phase where it's going to start working for us. Technology should.
And guys, I think while Darren is moving around and going to the next slide here, if you have any questions, please put in the Q&A or the chat, and Miss Logan will be bringing those up to me and Darren so we can answer for you. And the same thing, if you're on Facebook, put it in the comments and we will get to you there as well.
Cool. Thanks, Will. So, we're at a moment we need to rethink the fundamentals. What worked in the past is not going to work in the future. And there's a lot of, new technologies that are going to be coming to market that are going to, force even further change in how organizations and businesses operate and work. And I'll touch on some of those. But the key is we need to be as secure in the office and as secure out of the office. So security should be at the same level wherever we go. It shouldn't matter. It should be totally, completely seamless. I don't want to have to experience security. I want security to take care of me, right? That's the beautiful thing about having the right sets of technology in place. It's got your back, right? Always. The other thing is we always need access to the systems, right? Wherever we go, I want, whether I'm on a go-go, internet, or pulling up quickly because I'm on a call and I have to grab a Wi-Fi signal to do some work in front of McDonald's, right? Which happens. You can get signals anywhere and everywhere. And let's pull down that signal, but have, peace of mind that you get access to what you need, and you're always protected. We also need solutions that adapt with us, right? So if I go in the office, I don't want a weird experience. If I go out of the office, I don't want a weird experience. Just work, right? I just want it to work. I don't want to have to double click, launch, remember things, passwords, and, play around with different kind of settings. And, it's different in this office to that office. And when I'm at home, it's like this, but when I'm, at the airport, it's another experience. Just work always.
And Darren, a lot of times we get from customers, oh, I got to use the VPN, but my VPN to the office never works, or something's updated and my VPN breaks, and I can't do this on my VPN. So that is some of the common things that we all hear in the IT industry is I hate my VPN connection.
Yeah. And it's what's cool is like you think about if you were to draw a picture of your work existence and how many times and all the methods and the friction and the waste that takes place, and you calculate how much time you actually perform that task and how many hours or minutes and times of the day that you have some form of disruption, you can quantify that waste, right? And what if there was a way that just always worked, right? Just think about that, the business efficiency, your own effectiveness, being able to now connect with impunity anywhere and everywhere and know you're safe and secure, but have access to everything you need. And there's a real upside to that, right? It's not, the use cases that we see in the market are awesome. I mean, how fast and how quick, a company can become, secured and protected and connected and have it become a seamless service that always is on and always works. It's a business advantage. It's a differentiator. And a lot of companies, I think if any business owner or leader, looked across their supply chain, their customer base, their partners, other aspects of every market, they've embraced more digital. Everybody's embraced more digital. We had no choice. It could be as simple as Zoom, right? We embrace more digital. And so we're feeling like we're advancing, right? All of us together. And we also need the way we work to advance along with it. Well, it's a new world, yes, but not without new risks. And, I like the home network. I like to say is probably the scariest network of them all. And the reason being, it's like, who set it up, right? Yep. Teenager. It's broadcasting admin Smith family residency like a quarter mile away.
Are you telling me are you telling me people's Ring doorbells and the smart refrigerators is not protecting them?
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not. It's like we got so addicted to just every little brown box that showed up at the front door that said, connect me to the Wi-Fi. We're like, okie dokie, we'll connect to the Wi-Fi, right? The washing machines, the light bulbs, the cheapy Android devices, or, the dirty gaming system, who knows, right? These are all, and there's great use cases about an Xbox and somebody having $2.5 million wired. It's just a quick, simple Google search to find, who got, attacked by an IoT breach of some sort. And that equates to roughly a third of some of the successful ransomware deployments out there globally. Right?
Yeah, I did a few segments for some Fox, ABC, local TV stations. So talking about, does your smart home think you're stupid? And yes, it does.
Yeah, it's funny because I had an original slide here where it was just turning all the smart devices into little evil, demons, devils, because you don't know. That's the thing, is you just don't know. So how do you isolate and how do you protect yourself from all those risks? Because those risks are absolutely real. And the home network is the scariest bunch of them all, especially if you're in a BYOD scenario with a shared screen or shared machine with another person in the home. That's who knows what's going to happen on that thing, right? So there's other considerations here. The impact of downtime. It's not just a quantifiable thing around cold hard cash. On average in North America and also in the UK, it's about $24,000 for a breach of a small business, 50 employees and below, right? That's light. I mean, experiencing and seeing, what it means to address a breach and how that happens and ransomware, deployments and things like that. it's got to be more than that. There's other calculations that come into place. It's the friction, it's the downtime, it's the brand, right? The brand disparagement, it's the lost trust, it's employee morale. I've experienced one where, as the HR resource, and unfortunately there was some dating activity in their corporate email, in their company email, and guess what became public? Horrible stuff, right? I don't know. Well, what do you see? What do you think?
Yeah, we see it all, and it's amazing how so many people, even at home, think they are protected because they're at home, or they've got antivirus on their computer or whatever, different security systems. Oh, they're protected just because they can connect to any Wi-Fi. So yeah, we see it all. And Darren, we have a question. Does the Security Access Service Edge work across Windows and iOS? And the answer is yes.
All devices. Yeah.
Yes, all devices. So it could be Windows, Mac, it could be Android or iPhone. So yes, it can work across all.
Linux and Chromebooks, you name it.
That's right. I
All
forgot about
devices.
that.
Yep. Yeah, and cyber risk insurance, I think what's going to be interesting, we'll be entering, just prediction, the most expensive litigious environment the world's ever seen. How about that, right? For one reason or another, there's several to be had. But even law firms, and I love law firms as a use case, because law firms tend to represent firms that have been breached, right? And law firms, like every customer, every business, it's not just law firms, but everyone's got some element of risk to contend with. And so law firms are a great vertical also, just, because they're also questioning, do they consider continuing with the office? Is the office going to be the same working environment? And so now as they're out of the office, they need to be protected. And it's a really interesting kind of market shift that's taking place to help us, enable.
Yep. And I think I love your slide there. A lot of people think, well, if I get hacked, I don't own a lot. And I think you heard that in my scissor wheel there, that you I don't have anything to lose, really. I'm not worth that much. But, I think if you take all in the fact that employee morale, people don't think about, if I get hacked, what does that do for the employees? What does that do to my insurance, right? Because if you actually lied on your insurance form and you try to collect, and you've been paying on this cyber insurance policy, and then they deny it because when they audited you, you really didn't, you're doing what you said you were doing. You've just paid money all those years on the insurance policy that you cannot use now. So just so much loss, soft and hard money that you don't really see sometimes.
Agreed. And I think it's important to note here with this particular number of 24,450 employee and below, this is not healthcare. Healthcare is 86% higher in North America for breach costs than any other place in the world. Healthcare breaches are order of magnitude way greater than this number.
Yeah.
Healthcare, top of the list. Healthcare, as far as how they're going to transform, how they're going to be more secure and protected, they are the very top. Next, kind of trending wise, we've been seeing a lot of legal. Then we have a lot of nonprofit. We have a lot of construction, contracting, architectural engineering, logistics. A lot of logistics. All these companies that are kind of critical right now are needing, a greater level of protection because they're all adapting to this remote scenario.
Yep.
Cool. So exciting moment. Introducing SASE. This is a once in a decade kind of change, shift and advancement of technology. And Gartner coined Secure Access Service Edge at the end of 2019, as we're, evolving into a, more of a cloud-based world, right? Everyone is consuming cloud-based services, and it just made natural sense to, shift and lift the network into the cloud. And as you do that, it's software defined, right? It's a service capability. And so you can naturally incorporate other solutions. And so this is SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, is combining and unifying enterprise grade networking that's zero trust, so isolated from everybody else. It's cloud based, And then it includes enterprise grade security. And so it's bringing, a variety of traditionally complicated and physical, elements into a unified approach. And what's critically important about that is, we need to scale connecting and protecting people, right? More than ever, right? This remote workforce scenario, plus the threats that are compounded on top of this. You have to be able to do that at scale, and it's hard, very difficult to scale with many different solutions. There's a natural diminishing law of utility that takes place with everything we do in life, right? And so this unification with SASE couldn't have come at a perfect time, right? It's just perfect timing, because we have, 86%, and this is a global number, around 86% of folks sacrifice security to enable business agility through the remote, forcing of the working conditions to go work remote. So that's just kind of a known number. And we're adjusting that now. We're fixing that now. We're streamlining that now, and SASE is the perfect answer for that. So let's talk a little bit.
You mean the days of RDP are opening up to the remote access, opening a server up to the public world.
All those doors, yeah. I mean, and that's the cool part. We can totally isolate from the rest of the world and the rest of the internet as a customer, as a company, as a business, and not have those risks and exposures anymore. They just don't have to be. And that's the promise here. That is the opportunity here, is to create a scenario that keeps your company, that keeps your business assets protected always, and isolated and separate from the rest of the internet, so that your employees have access to it safely. So in the vector choice, this, SGN, so we have a cloud-based network, right, that every customer gets. And it's that enterprise class security, and I'll go through some of those attributes and show you how it works, but it means no more VPN, no more double clicking in the system tray and remembering your password. I like to say VPNs are a choice, right? And for basic level of protection and encryption, but security is not optional these days. It needs to always, always, always be on. So having always on security that's got your back, key and critical. The other piece is the firewall. We have a enterprise grade firewall that goes wherever you go. So it's not a physical appliance. It's not a physical good. It's a software defined. It goes with you at the edge. So the big attribute of secure access service edge is at the edge, right? That's the last word. And what that means is it's at the device, which is important because it goes where you go, it goes where you connect, and it always keeps you protected. When you start to consider what's going to happen with 5G, you can start to see how this need is going to be compounded. Then there's something about peace of mind. It's when you can go do banking on McDonald's wireless network, or you can go do some trading, or you can go do some critical stuff and not worry about it. That is cool, right? Knowing that you can just be on a Starbucks network, be on, who knows, who cares? It doesn't matter. You're going to be protected. And I'll show you kind of how all that works and comes together.
Yeah, Darren, and one of the things I when March hit and people were asking how do I have my employees work from home securely, and at that time it was like, okay, we need to put a small firewall at their home to isolate their network from their home network to properly do it the correct way. And that's why at Vector Choice we set out to come up with a solution to offer our clients that has a bundle where you don't have to spend the money on a hardware device and have to keep track of the hardware and all of that. And now, you don't have to be at the house. Now you can be at Starbucks, you could be at someone else's house, and you're still protected. So, and it just, that cost of ownership goes down for our clients by doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, what CFO wants to strike a check for a brand new firewall when maybe what they have is good enough, right? Maybe they have something in the office that just works well, but you can't take that with you. It's not very convenient to pull a big metal box with you. You're absolutely right. Well, when you think about 5G, so I like employees are free range workers right now already, right? They're pulling down and connecting with impunity anywhere and everywhere they can pull a signal. Right, that's the reality, and we start thinking about the promise of 5G, and I think Elon can't shoot up the rockets fast enough, right? I'm on my wait list. I think I'm pretty close to getting my dish, so we'll see. Anyway, 5G changes the game. I mean, what does the promise of 5G do, right? So when you start thinking about right now, 5G devices, Dell, I think, has the lowest cost one. I was doing kind of a benchmark out there, and they're about $1,600 for a 5G always connected device. When we get around the holiday season, maybe that drops to 1,200, 1,300 for lucky, sub 1,000. But as we get into 2022, we're going to see sub 1,000. We're going to see in the hundreds, $600, $800 range, maybe even less. When it hits that inflection point, guess who's going everywhere? We all are, with a 5G always connected device, right? And then the kind of the evolution of what takes place in working just continues further. The way, construction site, just think of the construction site, all these connected devices now, they're already doing it with like DeWalt. They do kind of some mesh networking stuff with some of their technologies. But as these devices become more 5G enabled, our IoT sprawl goes through the roof, right? And all these things are housing data for that business operations. But then the worker is going to be connecting the worker is going to be always connected. That's just it. So here's how it works. Every vector choice gets their own isolated secure global network, the SGN, we call it for short. This is your own office in the cloud. This is your own network in the cloud that's separate and isolated from the rest of the world. It's zero trust. So what that means is only you determine who gets access to it, and you determine what's accessible on it. Everything is policy based. Everything is conditional. Everything is software defined. So you get to control and contain how things are accessed, where they're accessed, and who accesses it always. And then there's the security elements I'll touch on in a moment. But the idea here is you're in your own cloud network. This is an office network that is abstracted from your physical location, but all the resources you have on site are all available. So if you're sitting at home, you need to access files underneath your desk in the computer, you can access those files. You can have those readily available, and they're just going to work as if you're in the office. So the file share, the printers, the RDP, desktop as a service sessions, we have test and measurement equipment, all those things that you would have in the office now become available anywhere and everywhere you go around the world, everywhere. And it's always going to be protected. So when you're at home, you can isolate, yourself from the rest of the network. So we have what we call LAN zero trust, local area network zero trust, which isolates you from all those scary IoT devices, but maybe you need to print. It allows you to print to the local printer or use a local scanner. So this is a solution to connect in. We have methods to pull in resources from the on-premise world. We have methods to pull in resources from a cloud-based world. We have methods to pull in infrastructure sitting in, Azure or AWS or Google. You can connect in Office 365 and make those resources available, and even take it further. Isolate Office 365 and make Office 365 only available through the SGN, through the user's device. And what's cool about that, I get my credentials pilfered. No one else can log into it because they have to be on the SGN. They have to have an agent on a device in order to get access to it. So there's all these layers of protection, but you have access to everything. You always have access to everything. And It always works seamlessly.
And Darren, my audience has heard me say this 100,000 times. We're way past the days of firewall, just a firewall and antivirus, right? I mean, there's multiple layers of security, and this is just another layer that you can implement in your company to help protect. And now it could be mobile. It doesn't have to be in that brick and mortar that we're used to.
Absolutely right. So if my Android, my iOS, my Chromebook, my Linux device, my Windows, my Mac device, it doesn't matter. This is at the edge. So if I connect at home, I connect on the road. If I walk into the office, there's no double clicking. There's no experience change. Everything that was in the office will just be there. When I leave the office, everything that was in the office or everything else I need access to will just be there seamlessly. Yep. Then we're, doing a lot of really cool, sophisticated security stuff. So getting into the technical bits, and I won't go too deep here, but importantly, you're anonymized and you're encrypted out of the gate. So any network you ever touch, you ghost from it. You're gone. They aren't going to see you. They aren't going to see your traffic. They aren't going to see you're just a ghost. And I don't know, my wife loves that, right? She's like, you mean I could do banking now? And I could do, because she's one of my best test cases for crazy traffic.
Yeah.
And so, you become a ghost. You can do things that you wouldn't normally, you'd question. Now you can do them. Because you have the anonymization and the encryption, and then you have the global firewall and the content filtering, things that you can do, things that you can't do, the company policies of accessing this, that, and the other thing. You have the intrusion detection, intrusion prevention. You have antivirus and malware scanning on the wire. So you have the intervention of potential bad, things that are taking place. And then we have all the DNS filtering and all sorts of different things. Anyway, you don't need a VPN to do this anymore. This goes wherever you go. And your firewall investments stay, right? So whatever you have in the office, those remain, because you still need networking 101. You'll still need, when people walk into the office, protect them behind the firewall in the centralized model. But the experience shifting with a solution from out of the office in the office will be seamless, not a single hiccup. It'll just work. We have a couple other pieces here. So we have it in a SIEM. This is an information and an event management system. So this is where you have the option to bring in all your data, bring in the traffic, bring in the logs, and then have an AI do the forensics on it to identify any known or trending threat actors to flag potential behavioral traffic that's potentially problematic. So we have that. And there's also a governance risk compliance module, right? And this is really, what are you required to adhere to from a regulatory perspective? So being able to go through effectively a mini audit, right? And tie all this together. So the methods that this solution, provides a way to check boxes, quite a few boxes, from the encryption method, from leveraging the SIEM, from the way things are protected and connected to some of the documentation. All this kind of coexists and comes together into a unified approach.
Yeah, and Darren, talking about compliancy, a lot of people say, "Well, I'm not in healthcare. I'm not. I don't do government work. So, do I really need to be compliant?" And it's coming. So NIST, you'll probably start hearing NIST. A lot of the framework of people are using different states. So, like right now, I know California, New York, Ohio, Louisiana have came up with their own version of NIST or their state. You're going to start seeing states come up with that, and that means that if you might be based in DC and you do some business with someone in California, that means you have to meet that compliancy within California just because you're sitting in DC.
Absolutely. I mean, it's every state level, there is probably a mile-high stack of
Yes.
new compliancy regulation. They are just, frothing to get passed. And we've seen in states like Louisiana and New York, embrace some new, pretty structured compliance around, data protections beyond the privacy pieces. This is more kind of what you're doing to protect your business and your clients' data. In California, certainly, pretty steep penalties, to consider there as well. So, the point here, I think it's helping. I think there's general awareness that's first and foremost top of mind. What might you be required to adhere to? It's awareness of that fact and preparing to address those puts you on a good footing and a good step towards making sure you have those boxes checked. Ignoring it, pretending it doesn't exist is not an answer any government or law firm will appreciate.
And same thing, like I said before, insurance companies don't appreciate it either.
They do not. And there's some interesting capabilities in the platform too that help you shape, what's accessible, what's not accessible. Kind of an interesting, in a couple different states that have hourly wage workers, you can shut off access to all company assets after 5 o'clock. So there's certain states that if you're, an hourly employee, and if you, touch something business related after 5, you're getting a wage. And so, customers out there want to make sure that no access to company assets can happen after that. So there's a lot of tuning that can happen to kind of adapt with some of those state level concerns.
So now you're tying in technology with HR type stuff as well at that point.
Absolutely. So we're at a moment, right, with technology enabling our business, and with Vector Choice SGN here, the SASE based solution, it's just perfect timing, right? We needed to extend the office beyond the traditional office firewalls, and really now allow this anywhere and everywhere access to all technologies, all assets that you have in the business, and across all connection types. Free range workers connecting with absolute impunity with any signal they can grab. And security, this is how we get agility. More cloud services have been adopted in 2020 than any other year. It's just gone through the roof. And this is just another step, another advancement in that direction of moving security and networking to the cloud and down to the device. So it goes with the critical user at the point of connection. Let's begin that protection. And then just being able to scale with this more decentralized world. How do we help scale the security methods to shepherd in a work from everywhere world, and what that might mean?
Yep, and this product is so important to us. We have added it into our 2021 packages, our managed services package. So in our managed services packages, you get this product. And because we know that so many people are working remotely, so many people are using their iPhones and Androids or laptops to work from anywhere. So we wanted to make sure that we're protecting our customers. One of the things that we want to offer you today, and we're coming to the end of the webinar here. And please, if you have any questions, please, I know we had a few, and I think Logan, you've got a few that came in. Please ask those questions. But one of the things I wanted to do is I want to give a 30-day free trial to anyone on this call today. And we'll reach out to you. We've got all the attendees that are on here. We want to give a 30-day free trial for you to use it. Even if you're not a customer of Vector Choice, we can still have this put on 5 of your machines or 5 of your users, and try it out and see what you think. You're definitely going to enjoy it. The ability to be remote, be anywhere, and also be secure, just like setting in behind your brick and mortar of your office. So, Logan, what questions do we have?
One question is, if I'm working from home, why do I need protection?
Yeah, so and then make sure everybody heard that is what if you're working from home, why do you need protection? Well, I think hopefully we covered a lot of that in part of the webinar at the first of it. But just to recap, those devices that you bring home into your house, if it's the Ring doorbell or the just the what's the Nest or Echo, all these devices are smart home devices. Can they be hacked? Absolutely. And so you want to isolate, or maybe, and I hate to say this, but maybe your kids are doing things they shouldn't be doing on their home computers or iPads, and it's bringing that traffic in there. And think of your employees. You can't control what their spouses and their kids do on their home network. So by having the software, it will isolate your work computer to the rest of the network that can be hacked, that are not being properly managed by an IT company. So that's really one of the biggest reasons to do that. Logan, anything else?
Yeah, the next question is a 2-part question. One is, what's the difference between this solution and a VPN? And then the second part is the difference between this solution and a firewall.
So Darren, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, VPN's great legacy technology that did a pretty good job at anonymizing and encrypting, but we're in a world where, security is not optional. VPNs are a choice of the end user to decide whether or not they invoke it, remember the password, and seek to slightly protect the company, protect the business, protect the assets. Security is not optional. It needs to always be on. It needs to just work for us in the background, and this is what this is doing. It's not a basic level encryption. It's enterprise grade security. On the firewall front, in the office, we need a firewall, right? You need a firewall. You're going to want to have basic networking 101 items for the local area office. When people go in, you can stay protected behind the firewall. The technology is smart enough to adapt to that, right? So you can be at home and you can go to the office, and then we'll automatically adapt and make sure that you're using the local area behind the firewall assets automatically, without any kind of user experience change. You can also force the usage of the network, the SGN, within the office network, but really it's all optional. It's it's software. So you get to define the policies and the behavioral and the use experience that you want to have for your workforce.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to that is, like Darren was saying, it's up to that end user or that employee to activate the VPN. And if they don't do that, you're not protecting yourself, where they don't have to think about it. It's running in that background. They don't have to think about it. And we also can give the ability, even though it's anywhere VPN where it's encrypting your data with everything around you, but we also can give the ability to do a VPN site-to-site connection from that device, no matter where it's at, to your home network or your firewall at your office. So if you do need to get into servers, you can eliminate the whole remote desktop access to the public world and all of the other tools that's out there as well. So that gives you ability to be more flexible from that standpoint.
Awesome.
So guys, I think that was the last question. Thank you so much for coming on today. I hope we taught you something. If you have any questions at all, you can reach out to me at wnobles@vectorchoice.com. Give us a call if you're interested. We are going to be reaching out to everyone to offer that 30-day free trial to see if you're interested in that. So my team will be reaching out to you for that. But Darren, thank you so much for coming on today. And
Awesome.
I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week and a wonderful weekend coming up.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.